Hello and welcome to this series of videos from Janie Crow, where we look at how to make the climbing rose wrap. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. We won't be covering every single round and every stitch count in these videos. They are designed purely and simply to accompany the pattern. You will still need the pattern, and what we're looking to do here is just to explain perhaps the more complicated or unusual aspects of the pattern. So the more simple things, the starting points, the beginning rounds, or some rounds that are kind of easy enough for somebody with a good intermediate knowledge of crochet to cover, we won't be covering. So we're just looking at the ones where perhaps we've had people ask us in the past how to do them, or where we know from past courses or experience that people do sometimes require a little bit of guidance. So this is not going to be end to end. We're not covering every single round here, and as I said, you will still need the pattern. So we are looking at the climbing rose wrap, and within the climbing rose wrap we are focusing on these three motifs, and we're starting here with the daylily. And this one here is anemone, and that's really hard for me to say, so please bear with me throughout the videos. And this one here is rambling rose. Now what I intend to do is start here with daylily. Now daylily has has an awful lot of the techniques within it that you will use in the sort of subsequent motifs. So start here, and let's see whether, if you're struggling with anything particular on these other motifs, we'll just see if it's covered here. If there are extra bits and bobs that need to be covered when we're making these, I will cover those as well. So we're probably going to do more work on this one and then pick up on these where there are extra bits that might not have been covered. We also have a half motif of this daylily, which should be fairly self-explanatory once you've done this one here, so we won't be covering that one either. We'll also have a look at how to join the motifs, and we'll do a little bit of a look at the edging as well. So let's get started. Okay, here we go then with daylily, and although I've said we're not going to cover every round and we're going to sort of not worry about the more simple rounds, I am actually going to show you the first two rounds of daylily because it gives us an opportunity to look at a couple of really nice little crochet techniques that Jane has shared, which give you a nice neat finish on a couple of things. One of them is this starting round, and also some finishing off of each round. So let me just show you those rounds, and we'll see if you can pick up some tips that will help you in all your crochet projects. You will note, by the way, that my colourway looks a little bit different to what you're looking at in the pattern, and that's because I'm using the new Stylecraft DK colour pack. So I'm working using the yarn substitution document, and so it looks a little bit different to the pattern, but it's close enough that you can sort of see which rounds are which, and I'll just refer to the colours as we go along. So I'm starting with round one, and old gold is what's listed in the pattern, but my substitution is buttermilk, and I'm making a slip knot. We're going to start with a slip knot. Now if you don't like starting with magic ring when you've got a smaller number of stitches, this is a lovely alternative, a really nice way to do it, and it's nice and neat. So we're going to just make 2 chain. And we're actually going to make the starting stitches, and there's only 6 of them, we're going to make them into that very first chain that we've made. So I'm going to ignore the chain that's closest to the hook, and I'm going to put my hook into the very first chain I've made. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the hook and I'm just going to put it under one strand of yarn. If you can see that, there's just one strand going over the top there. And I'm going to start making my UK terminology double crochet. That's single crochet for our US crocheters, and I only need to make 6 in total, so I'm making 3, and the little knot is sitting to the left here, and here's 4. And now what I'm going to do, and this is the key to keeping it nice and neat, I'm going to take this yarn end and I'm going to push it over to the right, and that in turn brings the knot over to the right. Okay, I'm going to carry on making my stitches. There's number 5. And there's number 6, and you will see how nice and neat that is. There's no lump in the middle there, and it's a nice sort of closed circle. And what I'm going to do is join with a slip stitch into the first stitch that we've made. So that's into there. Okay, and if you look at that, it is a really nice, neat way to make that starting ring. There's no bulges where the knot is, there's nothing like that at all. If you want to, you can pull the end to close the center a little bit like so, but it's a nice alternative to a magic loop or magic circle or magic ring, however you refer to it, in crochet. It's a really lovely, neat way of doing it. Now, it's such a simple start, isn't it? But I've got another tip to share with you, which I'm going to be using throughout, because I really love this method of fastening off when you're working in the round. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm not making any more chains or anything. I'm going to snip my yarn. And what I'm going to do now, rather than pulling through a loop like so, I'm going to leave that. I'm not pulling through any loop at all. I'm just going to pull the yarn out and through the top of that stitch. So we've got the yarn coming straight out of the top of that stitch. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to take my hook from the back to the front through the stitch where we've made the slip stitch. So you can see, if I pull this open a little, you can see the yarn coming out of this stitch here. So I'm going to put my yarn from the back to, my hook from the back to the front through that stitch. I'm going to get hold of that little end tail, easier said than done, and just pull it through to the back of the work. Dropped it there. Pull it through to the back of the work. And when you look at that, and obviously I've got to sew in my ends, but when you look at it, we've got that lovely neat center and a really neat edge. You can't actually see that join at all. So that is a really beautiful, neat way to start a very tiny piece at the center of work, but which will just look so beautifully finished as you carry on. So I will sew my ends in, but I'm going to do that after a couple of rounds because it gives me more places where I can actually hide the ends. So that's round one, and we've learned how to make a nice neat beginning, and we've learned how to do a nice neat fastening off. So let's move on to round two. Okay, round two is another really simple round, but it's another opportunity for a really nice technique that I'm going to show you. We're joining in a new colour here, and I'm going to do that by putting my hook through any stitch. We can join into any stitch here and pulling up the new colour, and in your pattern it is Sugar Snap, and in my pack it's Mistletoe. So I've got a little loop on my hook here, and all I need to do to sort of keep that anchored is make another chain. So there's my chain joining in my new yarn. Now that isn't going to count as a stitch, and I'm going to leave it nice and loose. I'm not tying in any ends or crocheting over any ends, because I don't want to see this when I get to the finish the round and get back to the beginning. So I'm going to remove part of it. So leave it like that. Don't anchor that yarn, don't put the end over the working yarn or anything like that. Just leave it be, because this is not actually a stitch, it's just us joining in new yarn. Now in this round we are asked to put 2 UK double crochet, US single crochets into every stitch on the previous round. So I'm just going to whiz around and do that, because our little tip continues when we do our joining in at the end. Okay, so here we are putting our last 2 stitches in, and we've come back to the beginning. Now what we've got here is where we've joined it in our yarn. You'll be able to see that that little section's a lot more crowded, or a bit more crowded than the other stitches going around. It's because we've got that extra bit in there where we joined in our yarn. What you'll also see is that that is loose. We deliberately kept that loose, if you remember, when we joined the yarn in, and we don't need this now. Everything is nice and secure, and I'm going to go ahead and just remove that little loop to the back. Okay, it's not needed anymore. Everything is secure, we don't need it, and I can go ahead and join into that stitch in the normal way, and it just gets rid of that little extra bit there, and we're back to having that lovely neat center. And I'm going to go ahead and repeat that little tip. So I'm going to cut my yarn, pull through the end, and I'm going to go from back to front through the stitch where we've just made that slip stitch, and pull the cut yarn through to the back. Okay, like so. And again, if you look at that, it's a nice neat circle. There's no lumps, there's no bumps. It's nice and neat and ready for our next round. So I'm just going to sew in some ends and we'll move on to round 3. Okay, so round 3 are the lovely little puff stitches, and you may well know how to make puff stitches. If you don't worry, we're going to have a look at that now. But what I'm also going to do, even if you do know how to make them, is I'm going to give you some alternative ways to start the round. Now, if you look at your pattern, you will notice that, as in, you know, lots of, or most rounds, you're going to start with some chains, and I'll show you how to do that first, and then I'm going to revisit the round and show you how to start it with standing stitches, which is an option you might want to consider using. So if we start as the pattern is written by making chains, we're going to go ahead and put our hook into any stitch at all and join our yarn in the same way as we did with the green. And this time, however, we're not going to want to remove that yarn at the end, that sort of spare bit. So I'm going to actually put the cut end over the top of the working yarn. And then when I make my one chain and one chain, it is held securely there. It's not going to come out. It's nice and, you know, it's properly held in there. So we don't want to remove it this time. Let's leave it be. My next step is to just make a half treble, that's a half double in US terminology, and those two items together, those two steps together, count as our first make puff, so count as our first puff stitch there, which is perfectly fine and exactly how I have worked it here in my sample. So the starting one will be, oh, I can't find it now, here. So you can see it blends quite nicely, so there's no problem at all with carrying on with it like this. So let's look at how you make an actual puff stitch. So I've made my chain to skip across to the next stitch. I'm going to put my yarn around the hook and my hook through the next stitch. Yarn around again, and I'm going to bring up a loop to the height of a half treble. All right. And I'm going to repeat that. I'm doing nothing with those loops now. I've got 3 loops on the hook and I'm doing nothing with them. So yarn around the hook again, back through where I've just come out, pull up a loop again to the height of the half treble. So I've now got 5 loops on my hook, and at this point I'm going to pick up my yarn and go through all of those loops, and it creates that lovely puff. Let's do it one more time. So made my chain, yarn around the hook, hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop, yarn around into the same place again, pick up my yarn and pull up a loop. So there we are with the 5 loops again, yarn over and all the way through, and that is puff stitch. And when we get to the end of the round on this, I'm going to just quickly do that now and show you how you're going to join this, and then we'll go back and do the round again with standing stitches. Okay, here we are with the last puff and the last stitch. And I'm going to make my final chain, and I'm not going to try and join into the second chain as we often do at the beginning of a round, joining into the top of the chain. I'm going to ignore that, and I'm going to join into the half treble stitch that I made. Okay, just like so. All right, and I can deploy that little trick again to pull the yarn through to the back, and I'll do that and show you again. So cut the yarn, pull it through, and then take my hook from back to front through the stitch where I've just created the slip stitch and pull that yarn through to the back. So that's a nice neat way to cast off, and there's our round of puffs. Now if you'd like to see how to do that and make standing stitches at the beginning rather than chains, stick with me. If not, you can move on to the next one. Okay, here we go then with standing stitches. So no need at all to do this, but just in case, Jane has just shared a quick technique video showing you how to make standing stitches. So I thought I'd show you how to do that in this particular round. So we're going to start by making a slip knot to put on your hook. And because we're starting with a half treble, I'm going to wrap the yarn just like you would, or yarn around the hook just like you would if you're making a normal half treble. But what I'm going to do, since there's not much anchorage here, I'm going to hold that, I'm going to pin that under my forefinger. Okay, so just the same as before, I'm going to join into any stitch, put my hook through that stitch and pull up the yarn and pull through and raise that loop up to around about the height of a half treble. Same again, I'm going to do yarn over the hook, through the same stitch again, pull up the yarn to the height of an approximate half treble. Now what I'm going to do at this stage, I'm going to let go with this finger, but I'm going to pick it up with the pinchy fingers with my thumb and middle finger here. So all of those loops are held securely, they're not going anywhere. Picking up my yarn and going through all 5 of those loops. And what I've created there is a puff stitch. So let's do a couple more so you can see how absolutely identical they are. So just in the same way as we were just doing, yarn around the hook, into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up to the height of a half treble. That's UK terminology, obviously, it's half double for our US crocheters. Yarn around again, into the same place, pull up. There's our 5 loops again, yarn over and through all of them. Okay, and you can see that they look absolutely identical, don't they? So I'm going to go round and just show you fastening off if you're using standing stitches as well. So you've got complete round either way. Absolutely no obligation to do this, of course. It's not written in the pattern or anything, but just thought it would be nice for you to see standing stitches sort of used, substituted into a pattern, if you like. So we did get that comment on, I can't remember what project it was recently, but got that comment recently, and I thought, yep, let's show you what it looks like as a working example of replacing starting chains. Okay, here I am making the very last one, 12, and there's my chain. And now all I'm going to do is go ahead and keep that knot to the back. I'm going to go ahead and join into the stitch at the top of that first make puff. And when you look like that, you can see the standing stitches make that first one absolutely indistinguishable from all the others. Okay, so that's the appeal of them. They look really, really, well, they are identical to all the other stitches. So if you fancy doing that, that's how you do it. Now, before we move on, I want to make it very clear, and just referring back to the discussion in the notice in the introduction, we're not going to be showing you every single round because some of them are really, really straightforward. So with that in mind, round 4 is a very straightforward round of UK double crochet or US single crochet. So I'm not going to be showing round 4. I'm going to be moving directly on to round 5.